Hello guys, this is Gus from FEANOR band. The fair people of the Metal Crypt came to me with the proposition of choosing the 4 most inspirational albums for my career. Of course, it's gonna be very difficult because music lovers, we have so many great albums. So if you have to choose only 4, you will be leaving out a lot of people out of the equation. So I will try to do my best and see what I came up with, okay? So let me take a look to what do we have here. I should say that number 1 should be this little guy here, Manowar, Kings of Metal. The reason why I choose this album is because the first time that I listened to this, I was, I think, 12 years old, something like that. And it was a big impression to me. I was very young, listening to the traditional metal music, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, you name it, AC/DC. But then this came to me and I was surprised and amazed by firstly the production. I mean, you can hear the vocals, the quality of the vocals, the clarity of the vocals. It was recorded in Universal Studios, I think, something like that in Chicago. So it is not something strange to have so much great quality in terms of audio and production. So I was blown out by the quality, by the amazing clarity of the vocals, the production, and also for the fact that until up to that moment here in Argentina, I didn't listen or hear anything about them, only a couple of magazines back in the day, no internet. So I was surprised because I never read anything about these guys, Manowar, in any newspaper, metal magazine, you name it, nothing. So this was like a big commotion, big shock to me because I was not expecting to have such a great album in my hands. So not only for the music per se, but also the production in terms of things that were really abnormal back in the day, meaning introductions with pipe organs, choirs, effects, storytelling, so many things. I was a little boy and I was listening to this with my earphones and I was saying, wow, man, I am being projected myself into this different world. So I was blown away. So this was the album that marked me out as a Manowar fan from that day onwards. Of course, later on came Fighting the War, shortly after Triumph of Steel, and all of them amazing. So having, in my opinion, such a great Manowar background for me really marked me as a musician. And a couple of years afterwards, with my band FEANOR and myself being a bass player, I was able to play in a couple of shows with Ross the Boss, the guitar player here. The 6 first Manowar albums, I played back to back all of the tracks, everything from battle hymns all the way until Kings of Metal. So, imagine to myself being a Manowar fan, looking at my left and seeing right there Ross the Boss playing the guitars was something unique. Trust me, something really unique. So this band really marked me out and I had to choose this one as the first option when it comes to inspirational music for what's gonna be later on in my career as a musician with my band FEANOR. This was a turning point, okay? So, more or less in that time, I came to listen to this little guy, Russian Roulette from Accept. And yes, I know you have Balls to the Walls and so many great albums from them, but this was the first one that I listened to back in the day, and I was blown away by the vocals from Udo. I cannot believe what I was hearing. Also, was my first, realistic approach to the German metal music, the sound of the German metal music. And yeah, it was, I listened to this and I say, this is what I want. This is what I was looking for, this kind of sound, this style. So yeah, when it comes to metal music, I will say that regardless of the classics, Black Sabbath, Maiden, you name it, when it comes to myself as a musician and as a defining point, I would say this album, you know, Russian Roulette, was also big to me. The sound, the vocals, the type and the style of the tracks, it was simply amazing. A couple of listening to this, and I was hooked immediately. So yeah, I have to pick like number 2, these guys from Access. And I am leaving out the originals. I am leaving out meaning Black Sabbath, Maiden, except AC/DC, I'm sorry. You already know that we all grew up listening to this music. But when it comes to my music as a musician, FEANOR, my band, is influenced very strongly by Manowar, except because it has the German roots, and these guys. Let me show you. Virgin Steel, signed, of course, by David and company. This was the first album that I came to listen back in the day from them. Virgin Steel, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Part 2. It was, I cannot say, I have not enough words to say what I felt when I listened to this material. I mean, you have everything in there. You have production, you have amazing vocals, amazing guitars, amazing songwriting. The album is pure quality everywhere. The epicness of the tracks, and the utilization and using of the keyboards, mixing very cleverly into the style, into the epic music, you know. So I understood immediately that you can, you know, create epic music by using cleverly a mixture of classical music, keyboards, great vocals, songwriting, guitars. So yeah, I knew that there is more than guitars, bass, drums, and vocals when it comes to a band. And if you want to create a project, you have to take, you know, into consideration all of the tools that comes to your hands being a musician. If you can play keyboards, you can play piano, you can play flute, you can play whatever. And I say flute because I am leaving out so many great bands. When it comes to, for example, Germany, I have Attack as one of my most preferred and beloved bands. Those guys use so many great things, but I have to choose only 4. So when it comes to German metal music, I am choosing Accent, but there are so many behind. It's very difficult for me to only name 4. It's extremely difficult. So I have to say, for myself as a musician and for the band, FEANOR, which is my band, Virgin Steel, Manowar, Accept, 4 big influences. So back in the day when I was listening and discovering all of this great music, you know, early 90s, then again from Germany, Wizard, Bound by Metal. Okay? There is something special about the underground bands, you know, because the mainstream, you look at them in all the magazines, you listen to them everywhere. Back in the day, remember, no internet, so everything was pretty much written magazines and what you can hear on the radio, which was not very much. So you have to, you know, you have to put yourself into the trading underground scene, you know, like trading tapes and CDs and music. And it was very special because you came to discover so many great things, so many great bands. And this band was one of them. Wizard, Bound by Metal. Early 2000, an amazing singer, again from Germany. And I am choosing this one particular because it was the first one that I heard from them, and I was blown away. I just cannot believe what I was hearing. And what happened is, I sent a letter. You have to pick up, you know, the pen, the paper, write and send a letter to these guys in Germany. And I start back in the day, like more than 20 years ago, a great relationship with Sven, the singer, the leader of the band. And I am marking this as a turning point in my career because afterwards, a couple of years afterwards, as I was maintaining a very nice correspondence and you know, like a friendship relationship with him. I had the pleasure to not only record albums with Sven, the singer of Wizard, but also touring with the guy, going to his place, meeting his family. He did the same with mine. We created a great relationship, brotherhood. So when you say music is way, way more than that. It gives you it gives you the chance to meet so many people from different countries, continents, with different backgrounds. You know, the guy can be an engineer or a poet or whatever. It doesn't matter. Music unites people, and I can tell you that this is true. I mean, I went to his house, I had dinner with his family, slept on his couch and on his house. So this is only possible thanks to music. So yes, I send a letter to the guy, start a relationship over the mail, afterwards email, and then one day I told the guy, hey man, I am putting together a new project with my band FEANOR. Do you want to sing here? And he said yes, and guess what? In my first album with FEANOR, I had Sven as a singer, the guy that I just told you about from Wizard. And the guitars, I had Ross the Boss in 6-track, ex-Manowar of course, the guy from the first album that I shown you, you know, the Kings of Metal. David Shankel, you know, the guy that wrote half of Trying to Steal, also in 2 tracks. Then, as I told you, you know, Black Sabbath, Tony Martin singing in one of the tracks. Yes, from Black Sabbath all the way until meeting, you know, with my music in one of my records. The drummer, you can imagine, the drummer from Virgin Steel, the band that I told you about, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell Part 2, the first album that I had listened to them, yes. The guy that played in there played in my record. I was so amazed and blown away by this guy that I had to do something, you know, to get all of these people that for me, they are like goddesses, gods and whatever, into my music. And so thanks God, so I did. So my first album in English with FEANOR, I had Sven in vocals, Frank Gilchrist, which is at the moment the drummer from Riot, and playing all the drums. Then Tony Martin in 1 track, David Shankel in 2 tracks, Ross the Boss in 4 tracks. Simply amazing. Afterwards, we decided to record a new album, not with these people as a guest, but these people as you know, musicians in the band. So it came to be David Shankel as a guitar player for the band, not as a guest, but as a stable member. Also Sven as a singer. So it was the beginning of my career in music with a great label Massacre from Germany. Now we are recording a new album, preparing new music. We have a new singer, Mark Stark from Sweden. The band Stormburner, he's actually our singer, he's doing a fantastic job. Then we have in the guitars, Thilo Hermann, the guy that recorded so many albums with Running Wild and also worked with Gravedigger, a great German guitar player. And then we have, of course, E.V. Martel. You know the guy, he plays so many gigs with Manowar, he was right there in the stage. Now he's playing with us, composing with us, writing music with us, part of the FEANOR family, E.V. Martel from Brazil. So we have Swedish blood, we have German blood, Brazilian blood, myself, Gus in the bass, my drummer Emiliano from also Argentina, and then we have, yes, Bulgarian blood in the band with Diana Boncheva. She's living actually in South Korea, but she's from Bulgaria. She's playing violins and many parts that comes, you know, with this artistic element, which is, you know, strings and arrangement. So we are really proud to have her also involved in the band. The new album is being, as I tell you, being recorded, and it's going to be released by Massacre Records. We are also filming and editing videos. We are going to release 1 video clip, 2 lyrics videos, most likely. A lot of work here. And yes, when it comes to our influence, I think that I put it pretty much white over black. You know, this is the influences, main influence, among so many, because I have many others. But these are the main influences of the band. Wizard, Virgin Steel, Manowar, the German bands, Accept, Running Wild, you name it. So guys, thank you one more time, the Metal Creep, for giving me the space here to tell you about the band and myself and what we are doing. Keep on doing what you're doing, guys. See you around. Hail.